The English We Speak. Episode title, Everyday Vocabulary You Need to Know. Welcome back to The English We Speak, the podcast where we dive into the words and phrases that are used in everyday English conversations. I'm Emma.
And I'm James. In today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the vocabulary that will help you sound more natural when speaking English in everyday situations.
That's right. Instead of focusing on idioms or expressions this time, we'll break down some common words you might hear in casual conversations, words that are super useful when talking about things like daily routines, feelings, or activities.
We'll also explore some vocabulary that can be tricky for learners, words that look or sound similar but have different meanings. By the end of this episode, you'll have a better grasp of how to use these words correctly.
Let's get started.
Alright, first up, let's talk about describing feelings. One of the most common words in English is tired. We use it to describe feeling exhausted or needing rest.
Exactly. If you're busy at work or studying all day, you might say, I'm so tired. I think I need a break. Or, after a long week, I feel really tired today. It's been a busy week.
It's one of those words that's really useful but can also be a bit too general. Sometimes, you might want to use a stronger word to describe your level of tiredness. For example, you could say, exhausted, instead of just, tired, if you're feeling absolutely drained.
Right, so instead of I'm tired, you could say, I'm exhausted, I barely slept last night, or I'm completely wiped out after that workout.
Wiped out is a great one too. It's just another way of saying very tired or worn out. Now, let's move on to describing something you enjoy. One word that people often use is fun. It's pretty straightforward.
Yes, fun is a super common word to describe something that's enjoyable. But sometimes it's important to clarify what type of fun you're talking about. For example, you might say, the concert was so much fun, or I had a fun time at the movies.
And if you want to sound a little more advanced, you can use synonyms like enjoyable, entertaining, or amusing. For example, the trip to the beach was so enjoyable, or that movie was so entertaining.
That's a great point. Sometimes, the word fun can feel a bit too casual, so using these alternatives can make your speech sound more varied. That's right. Borrow means to take something from someone with the intention of returning it later. For example, can I borrow your phone for a minute? Means you want to use it, but you'll give it back.
On the other hand, lend means to give something to someone, again with the expectation that it will be returned. For instance, I can lend you my car for the weekend.
So remember, you borrow from someone, and you lend to someone. It's a tricky one because they're both about giving and receiving, but the action is different.
Exactly. And now let's talk about another pair of words that are often confused, hear versus listen.
Hear is a passive action. It's something that happens naturally when sound enters your ears. For example, I can hear the birds outside my window. You don't need to try to hear something, it just happens.
But listen is an active action. It means you're paying attention to sound or trying to understand what's being said. For instance, I'm listening to music right now, or, can you listen carefully to what I'm saying?
Exactly. You hear things without making an effort, but you listen when you're focused on what's being said or what's going on around you.
Let's switch gears and talk about describing places. One word you'll hear a lot is crowded.
Yes, crowded means that there are too many people in one place. If you've ever been in a busy shopping mall or at a concert, you've probably experienced a crowded space.
For example, you could say, the subway is always so crowded during rush hour. Or, if you've been to a popular tourist destination, you might say, the beach was too crowded, so we decided to leave.
And it's a word that's great for describing situations when there's a lot of people around. But what if you want to describe a place that's peaceful and empty?
You could use words like quiet or deserted. For instance, the park was so quiet early in the morning. Or, the streets were deserted after the rain.
Exactly. So, just keep in mind that crowded is used for places with a lot of people, and quiet or deserted describe places with few or no people.
So today, we covered some essential vocabulary, from words to describe feelings like tired and exhausted, to words for common actions like borrow and lend, and even words for describing places like crowded and quiet.
We hope that by using some of these words in your own conversations, you'll sound more fluent and confident. Remember, the more you practice, the more natural it'll feel.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the English We Speak. We'll be back next week with more helpful tips to boost your English vocabulary and understanding.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.